Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Night of the Nerdy Laser. This is a special edition. I am Matt Henry.
I am Richard. I can't wait to talk to Mitch Yule.
And I'm just Jeff Lown.
And we are here today. Oh, yes.
I introduced myself.
And Jeff has brought us a very special guest. So I'm going to toss it over to Jeff and let him introduce Mr. Mitch. And how did you guys meet?
Yeah, so today we're joined by Mitch Rafter, and Mitch is the creator of Gore Noir Magazine and website, and he also runs Nosferatu Festival. What's that going on? What year is that going on?
Damn, the quiz is starting early. I thought you said it was at the end. This was year 4. The pandemic messed everything up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because you took a break.
I had like an online thing, so I guess this is 5.
Okay. Well, keep it going. But yeah, thanks for joining us for sure. Glad you could finally come on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get into it a little bit.
Yes.
I myself, I grew up on Fangoria magazines. Whenever my mom would take me to the grocery store, for one, if I trailed too far behind her, I got a real quick backhand. She's like, "Get out of here! Leave me alone. This is the only time of the day I can go crazy by myself." And she just walked around the store talking to herself. So I usually sit in front of the magazines reading the Fangorias or even old style tips and tricks books. So anything that has to do with horror publication fascinates me. So how did you get into publication, and how is this structured differently?
So I was actually into Fangoria too when I was younger. My friend had his mags, he'd bring them to school in his backpack. So I was like, "Oh, what's this?" It was like the forbidden thing. It was almost like nudie mags. You're just like, "Whoa, look at this! Look at all the blood and guts." And then, in the 90s, that's when, it was late 80s, early 90s. That's when I started getting into comic books. And comic books were kind of my gateway into production, publication, I guess you could say. When I was a little kid, I used to draw my own little comic books and staple them and put the price on it and all that kind of stuff. So I always kind of wanted to do something of that nature. So as I was getting older and being into horror, I just kind of was like, screw it, now's the time. And now it's 11 years later, still doing the magazine.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you do so when I went on the website and I looked around, because I hadn't heard of the magazine, but yeah. I love fanzines, magazines of any kind. Do you do the artwork on the covers, or do you source that out, or?
So the whole point of the magazine, which you brought up, Fangoria, was kind of to be not an anti-Fangoria, but to be everything that Fangoria does not do. So the main thing is interviewing artists. I wanted to shine a spotlight on the artists that generally, when you look at a VHS tape, you bought it or you rented it because of the artwork, but nobody knew who the artists were. And most of the magazines, they'll use their artwork, but they won't shine the spotlight on the artists themselves. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. There were so many artists out there who were creating awesome artwork, and models, photography, tattoos, kind of the culture when it comes to horror that we're all into. But when you read a magazine, it was just what's the newest movie that's out? And I wanted to be showing off the culture, the people behind, that love these movies.
Awesome. It's so cool that you mentioned the artists, because it just made me think recently, just around the Knoxville area, I was talking to someone and with our convention, and he was like, "Yeah, I have a connection with this guy that lives in Powell, which is only a few miles down the road." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, he did it 4 or 5 of the Disney posters. He did some of the old superhero movie posters and this and that." And he's like, "Dude's really old," and he's like, he has no money to his name. And I told him he should go to conventions, and guy was like, "Well, no one's going to care about me." And I'm like, "Yes, this is what we want now. This is the people we want to appreciate, is the artists that don't get the spotlight shined on them. And I told that guy, I was like, man, he doesn't realize how many people he's touched. And that's how a lot of these artists are. They don't realize how many people they've touched.
For sure. And I don't think really as like an industry, it really like shined that spotlight. Like there wasn't any real conventions when it comes to like horror where they're like, Matthew Peak, who is the artist that did all of the first Nightmare on Elm Street posters. I mean, those Nightmare on Elm Street posters, like you're like, you see it, you're like, holy, this is fucking awesome. So when I sent an email to him and he agreed to be an interview for the Nightmare on Elm Street issue, I was like, holy shit. Like I was like fangirling. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like these are like amazing posters. So people like that should definitely be at these conventions, signing posters and, doing all the things that these celebrities are doing.
This is, you've just like out of nowhere, you've just given me like an idea because.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just.
I'm not going to sign an NDA at the beginning because I'm already doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's like, I need to get my Nightmare 2 poster, which is going to be signed by everybody, to also be signed by him.
Yeah,
or
whoever did
it.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I was looking at the issues. So do you focus on one movie per issue, kind of?
So in the beginning, it was kind of all over the place. And then I would say about issue 5, I started to have themes. Like issue 5 was all zombie themed. And then as it went on, it got more and more themed. And I started theming them off of movies. So I think like number 12 was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then number 13 was They Live. And it all kind of went from there as far as like Return of the Living Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. And then the newest one are VHS sized. I should have actually brought some magazines over by me. That would have been but they're VHS size. I'm just imagine right here is a magazine.
Oh, so they're kind of like a fanzine, I guess. Like that's what I consider.
Yeah, I guess you consider fanzine. The VHS themed ones are more of like themed off of straight up movie. It's 32 pages, about the size of a VHS tape. You could actually put it inside of a VHS case.
Oh, okay.
I'm still in convention mode. I was just at Son of Monster Palooza last weekend. I had to repeat myself.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard that was awesome.
Yeah, Son of Monster Palooza is always rad. I try to do as many conventions. It's all pretty much this side of the Mississippi. I haven't really done too much on the other side, really. I mean, I've done like Chicago and Illinois and like Indianapolis and stuff like that, but.
Well, maybe we can get you to Knoxville or FranklinCon one of these days. But growing up, like what movie? I mean, I guess you've done Nightmare on Elm Street and all that, but like when you were growing up, like what was your franchise or who was your favorite horror villain?
So the first horror movie I ever saw, my aunt like had me watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I think I was like 4 or 5.
Nice.
Way too young to be watching the movie, and he was in my dreams for a while after that. He's on my
nice.
Yeah, I have the puzzle box, but Hellraiser is also up there.
What'd you think about the new movie? I just watched it the other day.
I think it had some glimmers of amazingness if they just like cut out a lot of the fat. There was just a lot.
I like the second half. I think was really solid. But I wasn't too crazy about the design of some of the Cenobites. Like they look too dull.
I liked some of the Cenobites. Some of them kind of just look like they were like, all right, like what else can we do? All right, let's just put this together.
Yeah, the leather bondage aspect was missing. I would still think it's better than. I mean, maybe 4 on. I mean, I would say it's still pretty
4
solid.
Is good. I like 4.
4. I'm not saying 4 is bad. I'm just saying structurally, I think this was a more 4 can get a little jumbled. We're going across like 4 timelines. But anyways, speaking of Hellraiser, makes me think, because the Hellraiser films are so artistic, and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, that it would make sense that those would gravitate towards you and probably click some primordial artistic part in your brain to start drawing and creating magazines. Because I remember being a kid, like, I wanted to draw Pinhead, I wanted to draw the puzzle box, but can't do it. Not good at drawing.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to not really jump topics, but I mean, you say you try to get to as many conventions as you can. What's that like, going from convention to convention? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of it's a love-hate, I guess you could say. Yeah. I love it because I get to talk to people, and it kind of re-energizes me in that, like, the point of the magazine is for people to hold it in their hand and what their reactions are to it, and people that are like, this is amazing. So it's like, thank you. You know, it's all that gratification, all that that reassurance that I need, that I don't get when I'm just at home by myself, like creating the magazine, because that's a lot of just me sitting at my computer, the not so fun stuff. I mean, it's fun, but like it's fun to see people actually like enjoying the magazines and you know, purchasing them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the best part.
The best part is when I get beer money. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, whenever I go to a convention now, I'm just happy for a hot dog and a handshake. Just, you know,
I mean, yeah.
But it's also the collaborative nature, right? It's like you're meeting all these different people. That's something that I've noticed just going to the few that I've went to. It's like, oh, I've went to 2 conventions and we've already met like 6 people that we could kind of collaborate or bounce ideas or whatever it may be. There is something about going to those that kind of gives you a shot of creativity.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a collaborative thing. I mean, the magazine's collaborative, and like it's always weird when people are like, "Oh yeah, I follow you online," blah blah blah. They're just like, "I wanted to buy this. I was," you know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of awesome and weird at the same time that like people already have heard of the magazine, people have followed me online, and then they meet me in person, like want me to take pictures with them. I've had people like, "Can you sign the magazine to me?" And I'm just like, "Sure, okay." I had Lloyd Kaufman. He actually was like, "Can you sign my magazine for me?" And I'm like, what?
That's amazing.
You're toxic. No, okay, sure.
Yeah, it was funny. We did FrankenCon this past May, and Brian Bremer, who's one of our favorite humans alive, he actually we had posters made and stuff. He actually went to everybody that like worked at FrankenCon or volunteered or whatever, and had them sign it for him. And so I just think you get more of that from these, and like Lloyd respects what you do as much as you respect what he does. Really, yeah. I mean, because, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, what level you are, because everybody was there at one time, you know. Or
creatively, we're all grassroots. Like, you know, it's speaking of collaborating, are you like a one-man team? Or do you, you know, who do you, is there people that jump in and help you?
Anybody write for you, or do you do all the writing?
So I do have, like, I call them all friends now. I do have friends that will write articles. I'll be like, okay, these are the new issues that are coming out. So they'll, you know, get interviews, do different stuff. But as far as like design aspect, I've done design solely by myself the whole time. And I'd say about 80% of the magazine is all pretty much just me writing and me interviewing and stuff like that. It is nice having those collaborations where people will write articles and stuff like that too. And obviously it's all the artist's work. So, I mean, I'm just the one kind of creating a vehicle for it, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Us all being, physical media collectors, you know, we do appreciate it too. So,
Yeah, I'm a collector myself. I collected VHS for a long time, and it's coming back, and it's been going crazy actually.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm knee deep in it.
Are you?
Yeah.
So that's why I started creating the VHS size magazines, because they're smaller, they're easier to take with you. You can put them on the back of the toilet seat, and it's kind of combining two things that have kind of been married for a long time: horror and VHS, kind of culty, that kind of aspect of it.
Oh, you were going to say horror and pooping.
Pooping?
Yeah,
horror and
pooping. Reading and pooping
horror
definitely
go together. Like peanut butter and jelly. Horror pooping.
I am obsessed with the mindset behind structuring things, because that's kind of what I do and what I did forever, doing like wrestling events and building shows, and then building the doing the events at FrankenCon, like and planning things out from like beginning to end, and like, how can we start off with a bang, and then and then bring it down and give them a little popcorn match, and then pop it back up with this, and like, so what's the mindset of how it goes into how you structure these things from beginning to end to keep people on their toes? And I would just assume that it's a process like anything else.
So when it comes to like, for me, I'm just like nonstop ideas. So I have like notebooks. I have like 7 or 8 notebooks that are just full of just like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. And everything just kind of flows normally. It's kind of I'm less of a structured person and more of like a stream of consciousness kind of person. So it's like
a mental storyboard.
I see like a piece of artwork that I really like. I save it and I'll come back to it, find out who the artist is and stuff like that. See what kind of art they have, where they'll fit. So there's a lot of structure, I guess, in that when it comes to like, all right, they're not ready to be in the magazine yet because they need to be in XX and X magazine. But as far as like the festival goes, that's also sort of, it's come down to being like formulaic, where it's like, okay, I want to have bands, I want to have burlesque, sideshow, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, we're going to have this, we're going to start off with this and that. But yeah, I mean, there is some structure, but when it comes to being like ADHD brain like mine, you can only have so much structure until like, I'm just like, nah.
See, guys, that's how it's done. And doing it on your brain, if you can, is how it's done. You ought to see my wall. It looks like a Post-it note version of 1 Hour Photo and Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Just all my ideas. Just as the camera slowly pans around, and all you realize is it's all photos of Richard and Jeff. And it's
not creepy. Not creepy at all. Don't look over there.
So, kind of speaking on the convention, you said you're going on about the 5th year of that right now. What is the convention all about? Like, what if people were to attend? What would they expect?
So it started off as a celebration of Count Orlok Nosferatu. There wasn't really any like convention that was, or like, it's not really a convention. I call it a festival, because in the very beginning, the first showing of Nosferatu was called Nosferatu Festival back in 1922. And I was like, it's coming up on 100 years, awesome. And nobody's really, put their flesh in the game yet. So I was like, I might as well throw it in there, start doing the Nosferatu Festival. And then once it hits 100 years, which it's 100 years this year, we will know how to put together a festival and, what we like out of it. So basically what it is, we have vendors that set up. It's in Austin, Texas, City of the Bats. It's at a really cool venue. We have usually bands will take over at night. Before the bands, we have burlesque and sideshow. We'll do some contests, like we do garlic eating contests. This year,
oh my god!
This year we did. I used to do Gore Factor. I called it Gore Factor for the magazine, because I'll do shows for the magazine too. Little thing. We'll do blood wrestling, slime wrestling for the magazine. That's cool. But for the thing, we did a Gore Factor, but they were eating like garlic covered crickets, and I did like a little like nod to Lost Boys, where they're eating like noodles with like bugs in them. So
I thought you were gonna say they had to eat stuff while hanging from a bridge.
No, but I mean that's the next step. We're gonna hang them upside down. Yeah,
they all have to be named Michael.
Yeah.
Do you have celebrities come in, or is it basically a fan driven thing?
So it's a fan and entertainment driven thing. I like conventions when they have celebrities, but I don't like the like turn and burnness when it comes to like meeting a celebrity at a convention. Like, hey, here, sign my thing. Oh, yeah, okay, and then I'm out. You know what I mean? I like to just like, I'm used to interviewing celebrities, so it's like a more thing where I could sit back and like be able to talk to them and get to know them more, as opposed to you're just signing my item for $70, $80 now, and maybe a selfie of $440. Like it's not how I like to deal with it. I like more like hanging out.
I feel like you and Richard are a kinship on this, because this is Richard feels the same way about this. This is why at our convention we do like, you know, if we bring in an actor, I'm like, okay, we're going to show a famous scene from the movie and do a breakdown of it with them. And then I try and, you know, but yes, we definitely feel you on that. It is a struggle.
Yeah. I mean, you do need the names for when it comes to just like a convention to kind of bring people in. But I think you can kind of go overboard too. Some of the conventions might have too many celebrities where it's just like, oh yeah, I had to wait in line for 5 hours. It's like, how fun is that? I don't know. Yeah. It's not fun to me to just wait around for 5 hours in a line for somebody to sign stuff, as opposed to like walking around the vendors, being able to talk to people and, you know, having a beer or two and getting to hang out.
Yeah.
You do have to find that balance. So going back to the magazine a little bit, what movies? What's like your dream wish or wish of a movie that you're going to focus on? Like, what's one that you can't wait to get to?
All of them. So I have a list now that I'm doing the VHS size issues. I'm actually able to do more because they're smaller and easier to put together. So I'm actually doing monthly. I was working a full-time job before. Now I'm doing the magazine full-time. So
congrats.
The next 6, I do them in like six issue blocks, basically. So the next 6, I got Dead Alive, Basket Case, Halloween 3. So that's the next 3 that are coming out. Then I got Evil Dead 2, Creepshow, Monster Squad. I love Monster Squad.
I missed Monster Squad when I was growing up, and I saw it as an adult, and it just didn't. I mean, it was fine, but
I'm sorry.
But I know. I mean, I do. I mean, I hate it because like Goonies growing up was my favorite movie, but I can't stand to watch the Goonies now. I'm 44, and I'm like, you damn kids, you should just stay home. Appreciate what you have. Quit breaking stuff.
So I thought we were kidding, but now it's just, I don't know.
I've ruined everything.
Monster Squad is basically Goonies or Stand By Me with monsters. Like it's amazing.
I mean, I liked it, but I mean, I was like in my 30s when I saw it, so it just, I mean, you know, it just didn't have that. You know, if I saw it when I was little, it would have been amazing. But of course, I've read about it, and it wasn't like this successful movie anyway. Like it kind of bombed a little bit.
Well, I mean, if Wolfman Scott Nards didn't, you know, worm its way into your heart, I don't know what will.
The same thing happened with Richard and the movie Little Monsters, which is one of my favorite ones.
That's it. I'm out.
I like Little Monsters. I saw Little Monsters when I was a kid. No, it tends to happen with all these classics that Matt likes. He makes me watch them, and then I'm like, because I missed a lot of horror growing up. I mean, like, what's some of the ones I've just like? I didn't see Night of the Living Dead until 2 years ago, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know. I was the weird one in school. Everyone was watching Goonies, and I was like, "Yeah, where's your mom's over-the-shoulder boulder holders?" And everyone's like, "What? What'd you just say?" And I'm like,
"I was too busy watching Rad every single day." Okay.
I pretty much grew up like consuming anything that was like fantasy, horror, or sci-fi. So like my mom, we were watching like X-Files and Tales from the Crypt.
Jeff's team, yeah. Tales from the Crypt is I love Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, so all that
that's
stuff
weird.
Like,
we're all different. Mine's Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the Dark Side, I watched that too, but it didn't have a crypt keeper, so it can't be too cool.
No, this is true.
John Kaser's going to be at Scarefest, and I've already got I got a professional photo up with him, and I'm going to get his autograph, so I'm really excited about that.
I got a picture with him, but it's just at like a dinner table. I'm like on the other side, and he's at the head, so that's as close as I got. I was trying to get him into the magazine. I'm like, so, and he's just like, yeah, send my agent an email. I was like, cool.
So, where can people go if they want to learn more about Gore Noir and the Nosferatu Festival?
So the Gore Noir Magazine, you go to gorenoir.com, and that's got all the social media and all that kind of stuff. Social media is where I really go to like connect. The blog is starting to get up and running a little bit more. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I want to get more stuff on there. As far as the festival, it's Nosferatu Fest or NosferatuFestival.com, and that's got all the social on there too. So the social is the easiest way to get a hold of me and see what we're doing and all that kind of fun stuff. Speaking
of, if you're a fan of Nosferatu, any excitement for Robert Eggers' new movie coming out? With the returning, what is it, John Malkovich coming back to play him? Or?
It's tempered excitement because I've heard,
or Willem Dafoe. I'm sorry,
I've heard stuff about it for a while. So I was expecting them to have it out a long time ago. There was also somebody else that was doing like a reimagining. So it's pretty much like I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to anything for Nosferatu lately. So.
It's easily the most terrifying visual of a vampire. Like it's like that and Salem's Lot, but they're kind of the same thing. Like they took directly from that.
Yeah,
so it is terrifying.
Yeah, Orlok, pretty much one of the first vampires. He's the first vampire in like an actual full length that we can still watch. So,
Yep,
and the creepiest.
Yeah.
So the most famous thing I say is I've never seen it, but that doesn't surprise anybody.
You should just have like a little bubble on the side. I've never seen.
There was a remake in the '80s by who did the remake?
It was late '70s, early '80s, and that was it just. Gone out of my brain.
See,
I thought it was like had Max Van Sydow or Sydow. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it was that one had actual audio, obviously. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Oh, Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog. Yeah,
Werner Herzog. Yeah.
Was one of those Mark of the Vampire? Was that had to do with them, like the guy playing him, but it was kind of its own thing, right? Is that
Shadow
of the Vampire? Shadow of the Vampire was like a mockumentary of the filming of. Pretty much is how you could like if you were on set, this is how it would be, and it was based on like a rumor that they said that Max Schreck was an actual vampire and like he was just like feeding off of people on set. But yeah, Shadow of the Vampire is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Never seen it, but I have heard about that recently, and it was I want to see it because I've heard about it. Hey, we go through so many movies. I mean, I'm watching so many horror movies. I just went through the whole Halloween series, so that was daunting. I'm glad.
Well, that's why lock you in the room, and you're just it'll be like
Clockwork Orange. Hey, I've seen Clockwork Orange.
Yes.
I mean, I did drugs, so You know, you have to watch Clockwork Orange while you're doing drugs.
Don't do yeah.
Give them to me.
I mean, I'm not promoting it, but
no, you're not promoting it. I thought you were trying to sell me drugs.
I have this band that I need you to get into.
Richard
I got
the worst drug dealer.
Not tasting candy on it.
He would be so anxious. He would be so...
I'd be like, that's funny.
Oh, nice.
Well, Mitch, we really appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit. And the magazine seems awesome. Do you have subscriptions and stuff that people can get online, or is it single issue? Or
VHS is you can get a 6-issue subscription for that online. So you'll get them monthly. Sometimes they'll be in a clump of 3, but that's the easiest way to get a subscription. The regular issues are expensive to print, especially now with everything going up. So those I'll do like maybe 1 or 2 a year now. But yeah, the VHS issue is much easier. So subscription you can get online, and that's the easiest way to support.
Nice.
Cool.
Go do it.
Yeah, we'll have all those in the notes below. Be sure to go to Mitch's sites and social media and follow him, and click our bell or however it works on YouTube to check out. Ring my bell. Yeah. So because we're trying to do more interviews with just people in horror and just people that we can find that do interesting things. And the Gore Noir is hard for me to say, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in reading. So we really appreciate you, Mitch, and everybody else. Just follow us wherever you can. Night of the Nerdy Laser on Instagram is a pretty cool place to go. And you can find the Night of the Nerdy Laser podcast every week on Spotify, Libsyn, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else any other podcatcher you got. So until next time, what should they do, Jeff?
Keep it bloody.
Yeah, because someone has to keep on doing horror magazines.
Yes, me. I'll keep it bloody.